Welcome to Curse of Strahd. So last time we met, I am gonna be totally distracted by my camera settings if I did not fix that. Last time, we had our regular episode on Saturday, but our lovely player, Nutty here, was not able to join us at that episode. And so, what happened is we had everybody in the Blue Water Inn in the town of Vallaki, and Shadow spoke with the mysterious half elf at the bar, then suddenly professed a need to investigate personal business right away and leaving the tavern. And Julius offered to come with you, and you said no, this was personal business. You promised that you would return even if it was the next day, but that you needed to go and check this out right away. So, let's talk about what it was that this half elf said to you there in the tavern in the Blue Water Inn in the town of Vallaki. Oh, I have two. See, I need to not change tabs. I've got too much stuff. So basically, you approached this half elf because he seemed like an interesting, customer, right? You're on the lookout for people of elvish persuasion.
It's the only person with pointed ears I've seen this whole area.
Yeah, that's right. He introduced himself as Rictavio, who is a traveling sideshow performer.
Rectavio?
Rictavio, yes. And yeah, it's his wagon that you guys passed in the stockyard on your way into town. But he looked surprised to see you, and one of the first things he said to you after introducing himself was to say, I'm surprised to see you. I thought that all the elven women had been killed. And brief apologies that my dog is whining at me, so if that's coming through on the audio, please forgive me.
I don't think
All right. Well, in case. So you guys are I'm not putting you on the tavern map right now, but you guys in the town are currently right here. In the town of Vallaki, this map here. So, he said, I thought all the elven women had been killed.
Excuse me, killed?
Are you... Oh, are you new in town? You're not with the elves at the Vistani camp?
I did not see any elves at the Vistani camp. Tell me more. I apologize. My name is Shadow.
Oh, Rictavio. Which Vistani camp did you visit? The one just outside Vallaki. The elves were pretty hard to miss.
Is that the one?
No.
Oh, okay. Because there's one a bit down the road, right?
You guys passed one on your way from Barovia.
Yeah.
It was not right outside Vallaki.
Okay, thank you. Because I know we stopped at one.
Yeah.
No. There was one on the way from Barovia. There were a bunch of...
No. Completely different camp. This camp is just to the southwest of Vallaki. It's not 15 minutes walk outside the city. The elves are the only ones that I'm aware of in these lands, the elves that live there, and I thought for sure that you must be with them because you're the spitting image of you could be Casimir's daughter.
Casimir, you say?
Yes.
Who is Casimir?
Well, funny you ask that because this is once again taking a brief step away from that conversation to say, you recognize the name Casimir because Casimir and his sister Patrina, hundreds of years ago, split away from your group of elves in kind of a schism and went off to make their own way somewhere else in the world.
And, that's right.
and your family never really knew kind of where they went or where they got up, what they got up to.
Casimir, Casimir. You don't mean Casimir and Petrina, do you?
I don't know Petrina, but Casimir is the leader of the elves that live in the Vistani camp. I've not spent much time with them. I'm sorry I confused the issue. I just thought for sure that you were with them. But there are no women in that camp, nor children, so I was surprised.
No women. What happened to the women?
Uh, that seems like ancient history and a bit of a sore spot. I did not press the issue. It might be something that they would be more willing to speak with you about.
Yeah, I definitely think that they would. How well do you know these elves just on the other side of town?
Oh, only in passing. I travel through these lands. I'm, in town. This seems like a town that is interested in what I might have to offer, what with all the festivals they do here. So I'm here to see if I can make some wares, stay a while. The roads are hazardous around here, as you must know.
I've experienced. Where are you from?
Oh, all over. I've never really settled anywhere.
Well, I appreciate all of this information. You're going to be setting up and doing a show here?
Yes, probably. I am looking to find out when is the best time to feature my various acts. I'm speaking with the people in town, see if any of them want to assist with the show. But I expect that I'll have some role to play in the next festival. The Festival of the Blazing Sun is the next one, I believe. They're actually setting up for it in the stockyard, but it's not to start for another 3 days.
What is your performance?
Ah, well, that would be telling, wouldn't it? I have done many different acts over the years. I've talked with, presented oddities of all sorts, strange relics and creatures from other worlds and that sort of thing. I've got something really special planned, but I would hate to ruin the surprise.
Oh, don't ruin the surprise, but please give me a little taste. Just a little spoiler.
Well, I would say that it's a bit of a savage beast that will excite and amaze.
I will have to make sure I am in attendance.
I hope you are.
In the meantime, I think I might go check out that village you told me of. It's just outside of town, you say. Any advice or anything I should know if I'm going to make my way over there?
Yes. What first I would say that you can leave by the western gate of Vlaki, and then if you follow the Old Svalich Road to the west, take the first footpath on your left. It'll take you south, and it'll take you through the woods a little bit until you get to the camp. I expect you'll hear the Vistani's music before you see the actual camp itself. One thing I would warn you, though, is these Vistani struck me as a bit less friendly than some of the other communities that I've encountered, so I would say just be on your toes.
Always.
Do not overstay your welcome.
Oh, I never would. Thank you so much.
Of course, and I hope to see more of you soon. May you find whatever you're looking for.
Yes, well met. Thank you. So if any of my party members are still there, I just give them a little wave, tell them I'm on my way out.
Yep.
I assume that's when Jules says, do you want me to come with you?
Yeah, so that was basically what happened is you told them there's something kind of personal that I need to check out right away. I had you, in your stead, I gave the impression that this was something, without saying it, the idea was it's not only personal, but you're also given you're not 100% sure what you're going to find. You're not 100% sure you want them to necessarily know.
Yeah, yeah.
But you did promise to return even if you had to find somewhere else to stay tonight because you know that it's getting close to sunset at this point.
Right.
So, Julius does offer to accompany you, and you thank him but decline.
Yes.
So, as you make your way through the city of Vallaki, I'm going to just move your token for you if that's all right.
Please do.
So you're moving from the Blue Water Inn. You're traveling further along the road to the west of town. You do at one point pass the church, which let me just briefly describe for you. As you pass it, this slouching, centuries-old stone church has a bulging steeple in the back and walls lined with cracked, stained glass windows depicting pious saints. A fence of wrought iron encloses a garden of gravestones next to the church. A thin mist creeps among the graves. And so that's as you pass.
Creepy at all.
Yeah.
I assume it's a church to Lathlander, like everything else around here.
The Morning Lord.
I roll my eyes as I walk past.
All right. So as you pass, you reach the western gate. There are two guards guarding this barred, steel gate. They see you approach, and they just kind of look up at the sky, and it's overcast, but light is starting to fade. It's not too late yet, but it's getting towards that time, and so they kind of just say, "You sure you want to be leaving town this time of night, miss?"
Nighttime is the right time for me. I'll be just fine. Thank you so much for your concern.
Suit yourself. And they open the gate for you and then close it behind you. All right.
I move swiftly.
Yep. So you leave through. You find this footpath pretty much right away. And it takes you south into the woods. It's not far, though. I ended up with 2 of your little icon on here. And although there are a couple of different branching footpaths, by the time you reach the first fork in the path, you do hear the sound of a violin in the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And so you follow the sound more to the southwest until you reach here. If you're seeing on the map, this is now in the lower left corner. And so from there, I will switch us over to the other map.
The song that I'm hearing, is it reminiscent of like any folk songs that my people play?
No, it's not. It sounds, if anything, more like the music that you heard at the other Vistani camp.
Right.
Okay. Whoops. This map has a lot of things on it. All right. So you are currently in the lower right portion of this map. It's big, so you'll see that you have, just a tiny little token on there. And let me make sure that's visible on the stream. Oops. All right. Yeah, there we go. So, you approach this area. And let me change, actually, the music to a different... let's see. I think this one is probably good. All right. You're more out in the wilderness here. So, the woods part to reveal an expansive clearing, a small grass-covered hill with low houses built into its sides. Fog obscures the details, but you can see that these buildings feature elegantly carved woodwork and have decorative lanterns hanging from their sculpted eaves. Atop the hill, above the fog, is a ring of barrel-topped wagons that surround a large tent with a column of smoke pouring out through a hole in the top. The tent is brightly lit from within. Even at this distance, you can smell the odors of wine and horses that emanate from this central area. And if you look at the bottom of this map, you can see like a side view of what this hill looks like.
Okay.
All right, and so you have come upon this, from this direction. So you see um, a couple of these low houses that are, um, at the base of the hill, and then of course the wagons and tents at the top.
Okay. So, I see that there's people outside. There's like 3 people outside one of the houses and 1 person outside another house.
Mm-hmm.
I am going to approach the house with the 1 person,
Okay.
and I am going to greet them.
Okay, so what you see first, when you're a little ways away, you see that it's a slender man wearing a cloak. But as you get closer, you recognize that it is in fact an elf, and with similar coloring to your own. And he looks up, watching you warily as you approach. But as you get close enough too that he can see the same about you, he looks really surprised, and he just says, "Who are you?"
Greetings. My name is Shadow. I come from far away. I had heard that there were some elves at this camp, and I had to come and introduce myself.
Well, yes, welcome. What is your name?
Shadow.
Shadow. Yes. Welcome. I am. What was a good elf name? I am Lyric. But please, you must meet Casimir. Follow
Casimir
me.
is here.
Yes. Yes. In fact, he is just at the next house over. Let me bring you there right now. And he's eagerly trying to escort you in the direction of this southernmost or this bottommost house, the one that has the 3 guards out front.
I go with him, and I'm kind of excited at the same time. This could be long lost relative or a long lost person of my people. So I pretty much consider everybody to be a relative.
So as soon as he kind of drops you off there, that one guy looks like he's reluctant to leave, but he has a job to do, so he does go back to where he was.
Thank you so much, Lyric. Is that his name?
Yeah, Lyric. So he hurries back over there, but then as he is approached here, he does tell them that they should let you see Casimir, and they look really surprised as well, like, as surprised as you were to hear that there might be elves in this area. They are triply surprised to see you. And they seem kind of really, like, excited, but holding it in, like they're trying not to show how excited they are to see you.
Yep.
But so they do just say, "Yes, Casimir is right inside. Casimir!" He says, "Come in." So if you just go ahead and head in.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, here I am.
All right.
He's a little house.
Yes. So
Zooming in.
as you approach this house, standing quietly in front of this house, bathed in the warm light of its lanterns, are 3 sullen, gray-cloaked figures, their angular features and black flowing hair half hidden under their cowls. But then as you enter, let's see. You see an elf who you catch that as you enter, he has hurriedly put his hood up. Like, it was down, but you see that he quickly tries to put it up before you can really get a look at him. And then his eyes do widen. He is another. It was like Rictavio said. This guy looks like a relation. Elves obviously don't show their age the way the shorter-lived races do, but you get the sense of him that he is several hundreds of years old. at least.
Yes.
Perhaps more, and if it, of course, is the Casimir that you know of, he's probably more in the neighborhood of 500, 600 years old.
Greetings. Hello. My name is Shadow. I come from a faraway land. I know your name, and I have to know if you are the Casimir that my people once knew.
Who is your father?
That's kind of a interesting story. Uh, hmm. She's reluctant because she normally doesn't talk about her dad because that's kind of a big deal. Um, my father, I'm told, is the one who imbued the dragon.
Then they did it. Did they?
What do you mean? I
You.
I never knew my father. I I've been looking for answers my whole life. Please.
Years ago, before coming to these lands, some 450 years ago, my sister and I, and many of the other elves here, were part of a larger community of elves. But the beliefs and practices of that community had become strange to my sister and I, and there was strange ritual and magics being done, worship of dragons. I did not believe that such a thing was possible. I thought that it was wasted resources for the party, and I felt that it would go only to an evil place. So my sister and I, Patrina, left with those that would follow to find our own way, and yet, if I was afraid of evil places, I certainly brought us to one.
From what I've heard of this land, it's not a place that would be welcoming to our people.
It is not.
I
It
I
once
met
was, but no longer. Not
I
for a
met
long time.
a half elf, and he told me all of your women and children are gone. Is this true?
And he looks haunted here. He is. He you basically you could. Given what you've just asked, it makes sense that you may well have just asked about the most painful memory in this guy's whole life. But he eventually does say, yes, that is the punishment that has been wrought on our people by Strahd Bonzarovich. I seldom talk about this anymore, and never to strangers, but you are not quite a stranger, I would say. Years ago, hundreds, this land was not as it is now. It had evil in it, of course, as any land does. But it had good too. It was not cursed as it is now. But then Strahd came to power. The lands changed. he became the monster that currently rules this place. The monster that takes whatever he likes at whim. The corrupting influence that spreads poison wherever he goes. I fear that my sister, Petrina, was corrupted in this way.
As he's speaking, Shadow is becoming visibly more and more upset and angry looking. I didn't know my father, but growing up, my people talked about you and your sister leaving and what a damage that was to us, that it weakened us. And there has always been this great loss. Yes, they say that, well, what they say about your beliefs is different, but your people are my people. Strahd, hearing what may have happened to your people is why I came here. He's done this to me before I was even born. Because anything that happens to my people happens to me. That's the whole point of it. I'm sorry, I'm not making much sense.
It is understandable. It is a difficult subject to speak of. There are no words to fully describe the torment, the shame, the pain. You deserve, though, to know the whole story.
She looks up and her eyes are just like big as saucers, and she looks scared and angry at the same time and just kind of nods.
You may have never known her, but my sister Petrina was very beautiful. And she had a grace about her that attracted the attention of Strahd. He chose to claim her as a concubine. And I'm sad to say that my sister chose to accept his proposal with the hope of gaining power for herself. This was something that, and he looks again like he's really having a hard time getting this out. He says, "What I tell you now is not something I am proud of, but it was what we felt was necessary at the time. Given that he had corrupted her, that he would take her from us and use her for evil, we thought it best to deny her to him. And so we stoned her to death."
You stoned her? There couldn't have been a more humane way of dealing with this?
It was a difficult time.
So, tell me. She blinks back tears. Did you also burn your daughter at the stake because she was being corrupted by Strahd?
At this, he looks really confused. I have no daughter. I don't know what you mean.
I met someone who told me I was the spitting image of your daughter. And I saw a vision of someone who looked exactly like me burnt at the stake.
I I don't know how to account for what you were told or what you saw, but I have had no children. And as I continue my story, it will become obvious why.
Sorry, I should not judge before I hear all of the details.
Strahd was enraged by our actions. He is a monster and he does not take well to being deprived of his chosen toys. As punishment for what we had done, he murdered every woman and child among us. And did this to me. And he lowers the hood finally, and you can see he has no ears. His ears have been torn off.
Damn.
Yeah.
And she has this abject horror on her face when she sees that.
He puts his hood back up.
No, you don't have to hide. I'm horrified someone would do that to you.
It is a wound I have had to remind me every day since. It is something I reflect on often, wondering what I could have done differently. And I am truly haunted by this failure. I thought to lead our people to a better place than they had, and instead I have damned them. Trapped us in this place, guarded by Strahd's servants, and you see him kind of gesture up towards the hill. But there are things that Strahd does not know. Trina's spirit, though her body is imprisoned in the crypts beneath Castle Ravenloft, her spirit has been trapped in the mists, and she speaks to me in dreams. She showed me where to find something that once belonged to Strahd, great treasure, and she's told me of the place where his dark magics were born. And I believe that in this place there lies powers that could grant one the ability to return the dead to life. Not as the ghastly vampire or zombie, but true life, even those who have been dead for years. I hope to do this, to undo our terrible crime, to restore my sister to life.
Sorry, there was a little bit of a ruckus in the background music.
And I hope to restore my sister to life, but I am certain that this would be a dangerous journey. I have not yet mustered the courage to go there on my own.
Do you believe that the people you left behind are still your people?
Of course.
Have you given up on our Lord?
We left that place because I did not believe. And I chose to take those who did not believe and leave. And we have been damned as a result. So, perhaps that is some evidence to suggest that I was wrong.
I believe that our Lord cares for us all as I care for all of our people. And it's almost as if he sent me to you. I am here in this place to battle Strahd. I came out of a journey or a quest to help people, and this is where I needed to go. I left our village because I wanted to see the wider world. I wanted to experience more than just what I've been told. And I found our missing people. This can't be a coincidence.
I agree, it cannot.
I met a woman tonight, earlier, and she had some visions that she said would help me on our quest. One of those things that we need is exactly what you are talking about right now. It can't be a coincidence that I need a wounded elf's treasure.
He sits back, just looking very alarmed, not scared, but just like,
I can't imagine a better thing to do for our people than to help you restore, or at least stop this senseless loss of life.
and he kind of nods, and you see him kind of turn and go into the corner. Um, and he lifts up a bundle of firewood, and then you can see he wedges a dagger into part of the floorboard, removes a hidden board, and then he pulls out a book. And let me get the description for that. Okay. Okay, and so he pulls out a book that I'm gonna show you. I don't have. It's not a. There's not a handout for this image. Okay.
Yeah, if you just move it over the map, I can view it on the Twitch stream.
Okay. Yeah.
I normally don't look at the video, but
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So if you can see it there.
Just move it a little more to the. Oh, you know what? There's probably a lag. I gotta wait for
Yeah.
the catch up.
It's right in the center of where the stream should be now. But so this, if you once you get a look, I have to scroll down to actually read the text. But this is a heavy book bound in a thick leather cover with steel hinges and fastenings. The pages are of parchment and very brittle. And you can see the crest of Strahd is written on the cover, and he takes it out and he holds it so you can see it, but he does not hand it over. In fact, you can see his hands are kind of white knuckled against the cover. And he just kind of stands there holding it, lost in thought.
I'm more than impressed. I expected some sort of reaction, but this is. Will you help me on my quest?
He looks up, kind of desperate hope in his eyes, and he says, "Yes, but first, you must promise to help me with mine."
Your quest to restore your sister?
Yes.
Oh, do that, of course. That's all part of the same quest. If we can stop Strahd from terrorizing these people, life is the most important thing. Real life, not creatures and shells of life.
Yes. Yes. And he looks relieved, like something that he wouldn't have dared to let himself hope in hundreds of years is starting to seem like a possibility now. And he just says, are you here in these lands on your own?
I'm with a party of adventurers. They're very helpful. We're here together.
Where are they now?
They're in Velaki.
I, staying somewhere friendly, I hope.
The inn in the center of town.
I believe that should be
Oh,
safe
good.
enough. The Martikoffs are a kind family.
Oh, good. I'm
The
wary of everything.
To be sure, that is wise in this place. There are many other things within that town that I would not say the same. The town itself is not generally friendly to our people or to the Vistani who guard us here. These lands generally are hostile towards our people.
I've seen a lot of side eyes at my ears.
To be sure, there are few of us left, and we have become exotic.
It's upsetting. If only they knew how lucky they were that we were around. Well,
I thought that there would be fewer and fewer of us until there were none, but now perhaps there is hope. And he looks out sort of the little window that he's got kind of a curtain over, and he says, it's too late now for you to risk the road, so you must stay here in the camp with us tonight.
of course. Thank you.
This is truly a grand day. Here. And he hands you the book. And if you want, you can kind of flip into it, or I don't know if you want to save that for later. I'm not saying we're finishing. I'm just saying if you want to look through it right now, you can. But he's also there, you get the feeling that, like, he's open to more conversation.
So I hesitate and then I take the book and thank you so much for trusting me. You've never laid on eyes on me, and yet you know, just as I know. I can't deny the fact that you're one of my people just by looking at you.
It is
So,
a strong tie, the blood that runs in our veins.
did you know my father?
Right. This is where I have to take a little bit of a step out as DM and say, you need to tell me what he would know about your father.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's all right.
So, we had a little conversation about this. So her father was kind of a reckless guy. Like, put it, charismatic rock star persona type. And the people kind of worshipped him to a point that he was a little uncomfortable with. He definitely, did father her. And when things got even too worshipy, I mean, he might not know this, but when things got too worshipy, he just kind of booked out of there before she was born. But he would know that her father was not blood related to him, but her mother likely was. And that her father showed up and nobody knew his relations.
Okay.
Like he showed up and could do some magic things, and people believed that the dragon was inside him, and they all started worshiping it.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's lots of cool stories about him protecting the people and all of that.
So I think in relation to that question, then Casimir would just say, I did, and given what I have already told you, it may not surprise you to hear that I did not especially care for him. It is all a matter of perspective, of course, but truly the worship that started to grow around him was something that not all in our community was comfortable with. And eventually that is why Katrina and I chose to leave and bring other like-minded elves with us.
Nobody will ever say a bad word, a negative word, a contradictory word about my father. And even someone imbued by the dragon, you'd think, I mean, come on, he's got to have bad habits, right? I always felt like people were lying to me. Like there's some big dark secret or something.
There was something about him, there's no question. There's a sort of magnetism about him. I do not know if it was real magic or just strength of personality, but you spoke with him, you found yourself smiling. It seemed as though he always knew the right thing to say. He could tell what you wanted to hear and find the way to make it sound like you had come up with the idea that he had really planted in your mind. He was very good at it.
Doesn't sound too horrible.
It was not at first. And even then, he did not strike me as evil, but it seemed almost as though he was building something that even he was not aware of. It was perhaps not fully within his own control. I did not like the direction it was going.
How... I don't know if you can answer this, but how did he seem to feel about the way people treated him? The worship.
I can claim no special insight to his state of mind. Part of his natural gifts were the ability to be always smiling, always beneficent, at peace in any situation. It was very difficult to read his face to see any potential signs of unease or concern or insecurity. But he was frequently unpredictable. He would make plans and then change them at the last moment. Arrange to meet someone, then just not appear and show up the next day with excuses. And it was always a good excuse. But it may be that there was something else that he was hiding.
When I told you that I left because I needed to experience the wider world, it's true. But I've never said this to anyone. But it's weird.
The world?
Not just the world. I mean, it's weird being the son of the dragon. I mean, it's a son, sorry, the daughter of the dragon. And having everyone look at you that way. And it's not quite worship, but it's a little too close. And I'm feeling it's weird. And the world is weird. Nobody, on the one hand, in the village, I can't say anything wrong, and every idea I have is amazing. On the other hand, in the world, it's not that nice when everybody doesn't want to just do what you want to do.
Hmm.
Or not everybody's in love with you.
Well, I too, of course, know all too well the double-edged blade that is power and responsibility. These people, these elves that remain here, followed because they believed that I knew a better path. And I led them here. And I threw stones alongside them. And I, alongside them, watched our women and children be murdered. I am certainly glad to see you, but I'm not glad that you have come to such an awful place.
I'll tell you, if I knew, I probably would have avoided it. I what you describe happening with your group is exactly what I've been afraid of doing to our people my whole life. It's a lot of responsibility. I mean, I don't call myself what they call me. It's too much.
I'm not sure that anyone calls themselves what others call them. Perhaps Strahd himself.
Ugh. I haven't even met this guy and I hate him.
That is the correct reaction. He is a monster. Hate is almost not strong enough a word, but I would also caution you. He is formidable.
I believe it. He's had hundreds of years to get ready.
It is not merely a matter of preparation. He is this land. It exists at his whim.
If we destroy him, what happens to the land?
I don't know.
Is there... I'm assuming when you tried to leave this land, you couldn't leave because of the big barriers?
The mists,
Yeah.
fogs. The Vistani can travel through them. It is part of the ancient pact that their people made with Strahd. But, although they are granted many liberties in this land, they are forbidden to allow us to escape.
What did they do for Strahd to get those liberties?
Centuries ago, before Strahd was what he is now, he was a man, a general. He led armies to many conquests, and leading his father's army, he conquered these lands when they were just ordinary valleys and mountains. But in one particular battle, he was grievously wounded. A group of Vistani cared for him, healed him, and sent him on his way, and he made a pact with them that in gratitude to their act of kindness toward him, that their people would always be permitted to come and go as they wished in his lands. He is bound by this pact even today.
So it's more than just a verbal pact.
I do not know if there is magic that binds him, or if he is simply considers himself honor-bound, but regardless, he has chosen or cannot break it.
Sorry, I'm just writing notes.
Be forewarned if the Vistani pretend to sell you potions that will allow you to pass through the mists, they are fake.
What exactly do they do here?
They do as they like. When we settled here, these small homes in this hill, there was a century ago a man named Velikov who was of the Vistani who made their homes in this location, and Velikov was an honorable man, and he and I found an accord, and so we chose to settle here. I have even chosen my last name in his honor. Casimir Velikov is how I introduce myself and how I am known here in these lands. However, as humans do, Velikov grew old and passed. I'm sorry to say that Luvosh and Aragal, his descendants, are not quite the men of honor that he was.
What have they done?
They are brutes. They are servants of Strahd. They carry out his whims, and when they don't, they drink and carouse and beat each other up.
That sounds a lot like the Viscani that I met earlier.
Vistani are variable in these lands. Some kind, honest, others not. Generally, regardless of their true selves, they will hide it in under a cheerful demeanor.
Oh, goody.
They're very big on being nice to guests.
That's what I experienced. Um, Out of curiosity, they wouldn't, like, say, poison somebody who likes to drink a lot, like, with them? For fun?
For fun, I would say no. They take their wine very seriously. It would not be something that they would choose to waste simply on a whim. However, if they felt any need to kill someone for some more substantial reason, I would not put it past them.
That's a little better. I've got this friend, and he never seems to check his drink. I worry.
Well, the Vistani here in this camp are presently very unpleasant to deal with because not only are they running short of their wine, but also Luvosh, the current leader, his 7-year-old daughter Arabelle has gone missing.
Oh.
This is just as of yesterday evening she was discovered missing, and many of our people and theirs have been out looking for her, but so far there's been no sign of her.
Is that... I've heard a lot of stories of children and women going missing. Is that something that happens to the Vistani a lot?
Not as often as the non-Vistani. However, these are dangerous lands with many savage creatures and desperate people.
Has anyone been trying to sell dream pies in this area?
Not to my knowledge.
No. Hopefully that's not where his daughter ended up.
Well, I'm not sure what you're speaking of, but I can glean from context that I would share your opinion.
There's this mill on the way to... It's not Bolivia. Bolivar? Whatever that town's
Barovia.
name. Barovia, thank you.
The windmill.
Yeah.
They call it Old Bone Grinder.
Well, there's some hags there, and they're making... Actually, I have it written down. Hang on. I thought I had it written down. Because I figured out it was like this stuff that was
Well,
in the pies.
well, are you thinking of the demon Icor?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean,
She
they
put
had some of that. Yeah.
it seems like she puts demon ichor in these meat pies and people get all high. She's been taking children in exchange for pies, which is really upsetting.
It is horrible to contemplate, but so are many things in these lands.
I just we've got to do something about this. And I am. I'm going to do something. I'm going to defeat. I can't imagine that all of these things are unrelated. It all has to do with Strahd.
Hmm. Well, everything in this land does.
As you said, he is this land.
Hmm.
So, unfortunately, sounds like there's only upsetting things that that's happened to you here. Nothing good?
Well, I mean, we do what we can to get through each day. There is the occasional laughter of camaraderie. The rare day when the sun peeks out from behind the clouds. But we have to treasure those fleeting moments because they are few.
I promise I am going to do everything for our people. This this tome you've given me, is it safe? I mean, it has Strahd's symbol on it, so it can't be totally safe, but I mean, do I have to be careful opening this thing?
I've held it in my possession for some time. I do not believe that there is any magical effect on it.
That's good to know. You've
Most of it is yes, it is a diary of sorts. Would not presume to recount it for you when you could read it for yourself, however. Most of the book is in code or shorthand. Other parts are illegible, but there are a few pages that are quite telling in the monster's own words.
well, this is going to take some serious investigation here.
In fact, let me. Um, I can actually give you the handout.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't want it to. I was going to say show to players, but it doesn't seem like I can show. Oh, here I can put it in just your journal.
Excellent.
So it's actually a little bit long, so I don't know if you want to I mean, we can read it on the stream, but or if you want to do that right now, because we can. I'm just letting you know ahead of time that it's long.
I think I might actually take a look at this later.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, we
off
might
screen.
cover. Yeah, we might cover it on stream just because it's interesting stuff, but we don't have to do that right now.
Yeah, because this lets me, peruse it, check it out, and then, if something pops up, I can bring that into the game. But yeah.
Yeah. Incidentally, while you guys, once there's kind of a moment of quiet, you hear a scream of pain come from the top of the hill, followed by some shouting and laughing.
From the top of the hill.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
Casimir says, I suspect Luvash is punishing the guard that was supposed to be watching his daughter.
Do you think it would be all right if I spoke to Luvash?
If you wish, but do be cautious and do be gracious. He and his brother are not to be trifled with. And there are many of the Bistani, so I would say be polite.
Yes, before I approach him, Do you think he might, look at me and think, oh, we missed one was missed and tell Strahd I need to get killed?
I don't know what they would think of you, but I would also say that you can pretty much count on anything they know as not being safe from Strahd.
Hmm.
I would ask you not to take that book with you. They do not know I have it, and
Oh,
at
yes,
all
of course.
costs we must keep them from learning of it. They
I'm
would
debating.
certainly steal it.
I'm debating even bothering at this point. I feel bad for the guard, and I feel bad for Lou, whatever his name is. I'm terrible.
Luvash and his
Thank
brother
you,
Aragal.
Aragal, yes. I feel terrible for them, for their loss, and
I feel terrible for Arabelle, the daughter. The father is not a good man. I suppose I do have some sympathy for any parent who's lost a child. Perhaps she might still turn up, however, to be sure, each day that passes makes that less likely.
this is why I want to find everything that we need, everything we can to use against Strahd and get rid of this evil.
Yes. So I propose that we can find a room for you in one of our cabins here. You can stay the night, ensured that you will be safe for tonight. Then perhaps in the morning we must find a way to get your friends a message. They will not allow me entry into the town, and I suspect unaccompanied they will not allow you entry either.
Oh, goody. Yes, thank you. Yes, that would be very helpful. I appreciate all that you are going to do
I
for me here.
I hope I'm not misunderstood. I do not have means of giving them a message. I'm saying that you will need one.
Yeah, okay.
The Vistani nor the elves are welcome in Malaki as people. If you were let in before, I would imagine it was on the strength of your companions vouching for you.
Didn't even remember it being a question.
Just as a reminder, it was Ismark claiming
Oh, yes.
being the son of the burgomaster of Barovia was basically how he got the guards to let you in.
Although they were a little distracted about the burgomaster of Barovia. His son and daughter were accompanying us.
Huh.
It's good to have friends in high places. Should have remembered that before I left. But yes, I'll have to figure out how to get a message back to them.
It may be possible that we could speak to the guard and they could do something about that.
We can try that.
They may be cooperative, especially if you are. I don't suppose that we could come up with a bribe.
Might be able to do something there. And worst comes to worst, we look for some ravens. Hope they recognize me. All right. Sorry, that's just a little joke about my friend Julius. He has this thing with ravens.
You are I wonder, growing up in the environment you did and now finding yourself an adventurer, what is your chosen style? What are your strengths?
Well, I'm a druid. I like to transform my shape and become animals.
Oh my, that's remarkable. Animals, you say?
animals always made more sense to me than people growing up, so it just
Perhaps you
felt like a
could.
natural fit.
Could you change into any animal you like?
I could. Well, not any animal. Pretty much things I've seen. Hang on, I can't fly yet, right?
Not yet.
Okay. Things I've seen, things that walk on land. Um,
If
I
you
can
were to just
swim.
transform into a cat or something, you might just be able to walk through the gates.
You know, that's a good idea. I hadn't even thought of. I haven't done that in so long. Oh, it's been
I,
so long since I've been a cat.
the risk, of course, would. I do not know the guard's predisposition towards cats, but
Mm.
I will leave that to you unless you need my assistance in some way. But I would hope that we could attempt to notify them and get on our way to the Amber
Yeah.
Temple as soon. I understand you may have other business to attend to, but so long as I have your word that we will make it there.
Yes. What temple is that?
The Amber Temple, it is high up in the mountains past Solenka Pass.
Okay. Absolutely. It's in the mountains.
I would accompany you
Like
if
warm. I'm sorry.
I would accompany you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So once we can reunite with your friends, we shall travel together.
Absolutely. I think that's a great game plan. Um, would About how late is it?
Right now, it's dark by now, so it's maybe like 9 or 10 at night.
Okay. You've eaten?
Yes, I ate earlier, but are you hungry? We definitely have I believe, a fresh heart, venison. We could, we've got cooking on a spit.
Oh my goodness, that sounds delicious. I've been eating nothing but good berries because I don't trust anyone's
Ah,
food.
yes,
But
well,
I can't help but trust you.
we have freshly caught from one of our own elven hunters.
Oh my god, that sounds so good.
I am afraid we cannot offer you wine. That has been in short supply of late, and any that we might have had for ourselves, the Vistani have taken.
Say no more, say no more. I often only like to really drink when I'm celebrating. And where it's not time to celebrate yet. But there will be a day.
There will.
Uh
And
so yeah.
so he speaks with some of the guards, and they can definitely have some food brought to you. And he kind of says, just as a note, our elven brethren here in the camp would never touch you in any way that you found uninvited, but you have to remember that it has been hundreds of years since we last saw an elven woman. There would never be anything improper, but I'm sure you will be receiving a lot of attention if you spend any time with them.
That's quite all right. I actually have one favor.
Of course.
Um, my party, they don't know who I am in relation to our people.
Oh,
And I'm curious what you're going to tell your group when they ask about me. And what do you think we should say?
you know them better than I in terms of how they would.
No, I mean your group. What will we
Well,
say to your group about who I am?
I will not tell them anything that you do not wish. But
I
certainly, many of them remember leaving. And we can say, if you like, only that you are from our long-lost sister tribe.
I think for now it might be easier. I
I believe
remember
that
I talked about how it's weird. I kind of don't want that, but in reverse.
I understand. I believe that any of them are trustworthy, but I also understand the burden of having that conversation.
I never actually came up with a mother's name. Uh, so give me a second.
Sure.
Yeah, we're just gonna call her. We're gonna call her Shay. Uh,
Okay.
Perhaps we could just say that if they knew Shay, I'm Shay's daughter,
Of course.
daughter of Shay.
Daughter of Shay.
Oh, it's so much nicer than daughter of the dragon. Um, Thank you so much. I'm not ashamed. It's weird. And yes, my party don't know, they don't know anything, and I don't really plan on telling them unless I have to.
Well, I certainly would not presume to tell your story for you. I
Thank
would
you.
ask that you not tell mine for me either.
No, of course not.
We can tell them that I hope to travel to the Amber Temple with the hope that I can bring my sister back.
Yes.
It is something, too, that if you do hope to defeat Strahd, I believe that there are ancient and powerful magics to be found in the Amber Temple. I believe that it was, in fact, the source of the dark powers that gave Strahd his undeath and his unholy magics.
Mm,
There are perhaps things to be learned about him there, tools to be found.
yes. I I wonder. Um, I'm trying to piece it all together in my head. The There's a couple of things from this vision that we're looking for, and if you don't mind, I'll throw them out there. I'm told that Strahd had an original bride, a woman that he adored, and that she had passed. Would she possibly be buried in the Amber Temple?
No, in fact, I believe you will find the answer to that question in that book.
Excellent, thank you. Um, have you heard of a sword of sunlight?
I don't recall.
Okay.
Truly, a sword of sunlight would be a powerful weapon in these lands.
Mm-hmm. Um, when we're up there, the Temple of Amber, is it near a white tower?
I've not traveled there myself, for I believe it is dangerous. I am told, however, that there is a bridge over Solenka Pass that has towers.
Okay. And any idea about a wizard staff or a wizard possibly being buried somewhere? I don't remember exactly.
Well, there were rumors of a mad wizard living in the mountains north of the lake, Lake Baratok,
Hmm.
but I don't believe he has been seen recently. People said that they used to see him on the far side, the north shore, casting lightning into the river in order to catch the fish that died as a result. But I don't believe they've seen him since, and I don't know that he had a staff. However, if you said buried, uh, I, I mean, it could be any number of different places. For all I know, he may be sharing the crypts with Katrina. Castle Ravenloft has a great many crypts in its underbelly.
Castle Ravenloft. I thought we were going to the Amber Temple. Is that in the same place?
No, Castle Ravenloft is where Strahd makes his home.
Oh,
You
yes.
asked about burial places.
Gotcha. Thank you. Um, excellent. Well, that gives me a lot to think about. I'm gonna go get some sleep or eat some venison, not in that order. Well, not sleep, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
Get some rest.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I can't explain what it's like to meet you.
I'm having difficulty convincing myself that it's not just a dream.
This is this is something every child of our village dreams about, finding our lost people. You know, the fact that you're here just tells me I must be on the right path, on a path I'm needed. And
The fact that you're here is the first ray of sun, figuratively speaking, that has graced these lands in centuries.
now you're making me blush. Have a good night. I will see you in the morning before I leave.
Well, I am coming too.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he couldn't get into the village.
Ah, yes. Yes. As long as we reunite
Yes,
before
absolutely.
you venture on to any other location.
Yes, yes.
Yes. He guides you to one of the other of these little cabins that are around the foot of this hill, and they're all of roughly the same design. But you find one that has a spare bed, and in fact, he kind of he kind of asks. You see him kind of kick another elf out of his bed to make sure that you have it to yourself. And he says, "We will have guards out front. You'll be quite safe. We maintain watches."
Thank you so much. And I'm assuming she notices like everybody eyeing her.
Yeah, they basically all of these elves are. First of all, there's been a lot of whispering. It seems like everybody is aware that you're around now, and they're very interested. And they look like they're really impatient to ask Casimir about you, but they're not going to presume to do that while he's busy with you.
So I give a little wave to everybody before I duck in.
You get like about 7 little mirror waves of like, oh, she was waving at me. No, it was me.
She walks into the cabin. That's more like it. That's kind of all right. That's more like home. Feels good.
You are going to let me think. Trying to decide exactly how to. So, as an elf, you don't sleep like
Yeah.
humans do. But certainly, we're imagining you're spending the night in this cabin. You're taking a long rest, which takes 8 hours still. And so, are you? Perhaps that would be the time that you would take to read through this. Excuse me,
Yes.
book.
Yes, that
Okay.
was my intention.
Yeah, so I think I'll save reading that text
Yeah.
for that other episode so that we can have everybody
I
hear
agree.
the information there, because it is of significance.
Yes. So visually, the idea is, she's going to be in this cabin, and I assume somebody's going to bring her the venison, and
Yeah, and it's pretty good. It tastes fresh and fire roasted, and it's
she's
it's good. It's
she's savoring every bite as she's reading, like trying not to eat over the book, but at the same time, only using one hand, kind of a thing.
yeah.
And there is not an inch of meat left. And at one point, she's just, kind of sucking on a bone. Because good berries, they taste good, but it's not the same as eating a good chunk of meat.
Yeah.
So, and
So,
go ahead.
so as the night passes, unless you had more that you
Yeah.
kind of wanted to cover
No, no,
overnight.
that's it.
Okay. So you are aware that it is just starting to get light outside, and in this overcast foggy land, it's you can never really see the sun directly,
Hmm.
but you're starting to get a little bit of light in the sky. And there's a knock on the door, and it is Casimir, who is he asks if he can come in, but he's whispering.
Yes, come in, come in.
Yes. We have our plans, and I don't think they need to change, but I would just ask that you remain here for a couple more hours. Right now, the Vistani, we have a search party that is returning, and I would just as soon have you not noticed as you leave, if possible.
I
Uh,
agree.
so I will knock and let you know when it is clear for you to make your way back to the town.
Uh, so she reaches out and she, touches his hand lightly and gives it a gentle squeeze. Thank you so much.
He he smiles. Thank you. And so, sure enough, you do actually hear a lot of activity out, and
Mhm,
there's some drunken shouting. Like it
mhm,
sounds like very slurred, but angry and upset. And there's a lot of activity. You hear horses moving around, and there's kind of a lot. Seems like a lot going on.
mhm.
Um, but after a couple of hours, you get the feeling it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 9:30. Um, it's it starts to quiet down a little bit, and Casimir knocks again and just says, "Should be able to pass back into the woods unobserved now."
Thank you. And so she, you know, goes, makes her way. Um, I'll do all my spell stuff later because I don't expect having to do spells at this point. And then before she, uh, are there any events on the way back?
Well, yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you're making your way back through the woods along that same footpath. But just as you're kind of coming out of the woods, heading back towards that western gate of Valaki,
Hmm.
you hear this roar of anger and frustration of a deep voice screaming, Irina! And it's just
Okay.
this like inhuman howl of anger, and then you realize you hear some other shouting too, like "Let me through!" And you look, and as you're getting close, you see the rest of your party hightailing it out the western gates,
Oh,
and they
well,
are
that's
on
fortunate.
the road running to the west,
Okay.
and that's where we'll have you meet back up with them next time.
That's awesome. I didn't even have to transform into a cat.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that we don't need to recap that on the stream,
Yeah.
but I'll tell you what happened with them. Just we don't need to
Yeah.
waste time retelling what people know already next time. But anyway, I will. I think that's good probably for the stream today. But I'm glad we were able to go through this stuff just
Yeah,
because
that was fun.
it really seemed like a perfect opportunity for your character to do this little solo mission. And by coincidence, due to the Taroka deck reading, it was plot significant as well. So,
Yeah, yeah. It was really funny because I didn't know I was going to have to miss the next session. And then it was that's exactly what I wanted to go talk to the elf, the half elf. I was like, all right, when we come back, I'm talking to that half elf. And then it just naturally fell into place. It's almost like the Shadow Lord planned it.
yeah. Moving strings behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Set pieces. All right. Anyway, so we'll cut off the stream at this point, and thank you anybody who is uh, watching this later or listening to the audio version. And I will be back next time for returning to the full party.
Yay.
Yay!